Welcome. Okay, picture this. You're reading a sentence and it just feels clunky, like it's weak or confusing, right? You might naturally think it's a lack of vocabulary, but honestly, so often it's just a structural issue. Mastering the active and passive voice isn't just about memorizing some dusty old grammar rule. It is quite literally the ultimate editing tool for fixing weak writing and taking total control of your message. I'm absolutely thrilled to guide you through this explainer today, where we're going to finally unlock this mechanical puzzle.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We've got a 5-part roadmap for today. We'll start with understanding grammatical voice, move into active versus passive structures, look at when to use passive voice, tackle the transformation test, and wrap it all up with formulas and common mistakes.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Understanding Grammatical Voice.
Think of your basic grammar components, your subject, your verb, and your object. Kind of like modular Lego blocks. Grammatical voice is simply the form of the verb that shows us exactly how these blocks relate to each other. Basically, it asks a really simple question. Is our subject actually performing the action, or is it receiving the action?
Moving right along to Section 2, Active versus Passive Structures. Let's start with the active voice. By definition, an active sentence is one where the subject is out there performing the action. The formula is super straightforward. Subject plus verb plus object. Take the sentence, Ali cleans the room. Ali is our subject, and he's actively doing the cleaning. It's direct, it feels natural, and there is absolutely zero mystery about who's responsible for the work.
But if we flip the script to the passive voice, the subject now receives the action. Notice how the formula totally changes here. It becomes object plus a be verb plus the past participle, or V3, plus by, and then the subject. So Ali cleans the room mechanically transforms into the room is cleaned by Ali. You see what happened there? The spotlight completely moved off the doer, and it's shining squarely on the room itself.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. Look at the active version. Scientists discovered a new planet. That actively celebrates the scientists, right? But shift that into the passive voice. A new planet was discovered by scientists, and boom, the spotlight shifts entirely to the planet. The actual doers, the scientists, are shoved all the way to the end of the sentence. It's the exact same information, but it gives you an entirely different feeling.
Which brings us to Section 3, When to use passive voice.
So, you might be wondering, if active voice is so direct and punchy, why do politicians, scientists, and lawyers absolutely love the passive structure? Well, there's a time and a place for it. We use the passive voice specifically when the doer is unknown, when they're unimportant, or when the actual result matters way more than who caused it. Think about a "smoking is prohibited" sign. The sign doesn't need to say "building management prohibits smoking," right? The result, no smoking, is literally the only thing that matters.
But on the flip side, the passive voice is often used as a shield. Take that notoriously weak, evasive phrase, "mistakes were made." Notice how it completely dodges responsibility? The doer is deliberately hidden away. Now, compare that to the active, accountable version. The manager made mistakes. Clear, direct, no nonsense. When accountability actually matters, you want to avoid the passive voice at all costs.
All right, let's jump into Section 4, the transformation test.
This leads us to a really critical question. Can every active sentence become passive? I actually want you to pause and think about this for a second. If you have a subject and a verb, can you just automatically flip it into a passive structure?
Well, the answer is a definitive no, and it all comes down to the type of verb you're using. Only transitive verbs, meaning verbs that actually take a direct object, can be made passive. For example, Ali opened the door. He opened what? The door. There's a clear, tangible object for us to move around. But look at an intransitive verb, like the baby cried. The baby cried what? Well, nothing. Without an object to shift to the front of the sentence, a passive transformation is literally impossible.
So before you start editing, just run through this quick mental flow chart. Step 1, find the verb. Step 2, ask what or whom right after it. Step 3, check if it's transitive. If you found an object, it is, and you're good to proceed. Step 4, identify the original verb's tense. And finally, Step 5, move that object to the beginning of the sentence. If your sentence passes this little test, it's totally ready for the flip.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, Formulas and Common Mistakes.
Okay, here is your definitive 6-step blueprint for rearranging those Lego blocks we talked about earlier. Let's take the active sentence, Ali wrote a letter, and walk through it.
Step 1. Find your subject, verb, and object. That's Ali wrote a letter. Step 2. Move the object, a letter, to the subject position. Step 3. Identify the tense of the word wrote, which is past simple. Step 4. Choose the correct be verb for the past simple, so we use was. Step 5. Use the past participle, or the V3 form of write, which is written. And lastly, Step 6. Add by plus the subject, by Ali. Put the whole shebang together, and look what we built. A letter was written by Ali. It really is just a satisfying mechanical process.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is that it's basically your ultimate tense cheat sheet. Look closely. Notice how the main verb always stays in that past participle form, written. The only thing that actually changes is the be verb. Present simple uses is, past simple uses was, future simple uses will be, present perfect uses has been. That little be verb is the shapeshifter that carries your entire timeline.
Now, if you're gearing up for an exam like the IELTS or TOEFL, you've got to watch out for these common traps. Please don't mix up the verb form, like saying the homework was did instead of done. And honestly, the ultimate cardinal sin, dropping the be verb entirely. There is no way you should ever write the room cleaned when you mean passive. It must absolutely always be the room was cleaned.
So the crucial point here is this memory trick I want you to lock into your mind. Active voice flows forward from the doer, subject to verb to object, SVO. Meanwhile, passive voice flows backward from the receiver, object to be verb to past participle, and finally by the subject. Master these two distinct flows, and you've officially mastered the puzzle.
Well, we've covered the mechanics, the specific use cases, and the formulas. Now it's over to you. I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What weak, passive sentences in your own writing are just waiting to be transformed? Take this new mechanical toolkit, go review an email or an essay you wrote recently, and see firsthand how shifting the voice changes the entire impact of your message. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy writing.